Oh boy, now we need to put some corner blocks and keystones on this frame. Well, in order to do that, we're going to use our polygon tool here. I can zoom down in a little bit more closely. And I want to show you how to draw this 9" by 9" triangle. So we can click, drag up 9 inches, hit return, click and drag to the right, type in 9 inches, return, got to click and then drag back to the origin point. And look at that, it filled in with a white solid like I expected it to. And now I've got the right shape, but I need to extrude it. It's made out of 1/4 inch plywood, so what do you say we extrude it 1/4 of an inch? All right, now where I need to put it is on top of my frame, right? Well, if I move it right over here, I've got a similar problem to my rail and style. That is to say, take a look at right isometric view. It's sitting down underneath everything, right? It's sitting down here on the floor where everything else was created. So I've got to get this puppy up on top of the frame. Back to top plan. Now I'm going to move this 3-dimensionally. I'm going to lift it up. I'm going to raise it up 3/4 of an inch. I could, I suppose, go to the front view and just click and drag it up, but that wouldn't be very precise. It's a possibility, and I've done it from time to time. But in this case, I'm going to show you another move command. We can move 3-dimensionally. We can move in the Z-axis too. That's coming out from the screen towards my face instead of X, Y, left and right, and up and down. So I'm going to offset it by 3/4 of an inch towards my face, same direction I was extruding. And look at that. It's now sitting on top of the frame. But you'll recall that we have to set this in 3/4 of an inch in both directions, right? So I can use my Control M, or Control Alt M gives me all 3 dimensions, right? I'm going to have to not move it any further, so I'm going to type Z offset at 0. But my X is going to move it to the right 3/4 of an inch, and my Y is going to move it down 3/4 of an inch. So I'm going to have to be careful to put in minus 3/4 of an inch. Click OK, and I've drawn a very precise location for this triangle. Now, that has quite a few steps to it. Drag over here to the other corner. There's a little bit better way of doing this, but I'm going to have to go down into my 3D modeling tools to show you something else that's pretty powerful. I'm going to set the working plane right on top of the frame. So I'm going to grab this Set Working Plane tool, and I'm going to grab the top of that rail, and now it knows to draw the working plane where I'm drawing is not on the floor where I set my frame down, but it's on top of that rail. I'm going to use that same tool again. I'm going to draw down 9 inches, hit return, click, then I'm going to drag up at 45 degrees. I know that if I snap to the frame and then snap back to the corner, I don't even need to measure those last 2 elements. I am going to have to remember to extrude this. I'm going to extrude it 1/4 of an inch. And now I'm going to also move that piece. I'm going to offset it to the left minus 1/4 inch. And I'm going to drop it down minus 1/4. Oh, being silly. You guys knew better. 3/4 inch. And 3/4 inch. That's the setback that we're looking for. And look at that. Moved it into just the right place. Now I bet you know what I'm going to use next. I'm going to use the corner block creation, or I'm going to select both of my corner blocks, and I'm going to use the mirror tool. Come down here to the midpoint. Click, drag, and click again. And that has duplicated now my corner blocks, the bottom rail and style corner points. Now I'm going to need to draw my my keystones. All right, I can draw those in a couple of different ways. Let's use the rectangle tool here a little bit. And I'm going to just stay in this drawing plane right on top of the frame. I'm going to click here, and I'm going to make that a 9-inch long piece of quarter ply, a tab, and it's already snapped to 3.5 inches because it's sitting right on top of the toggle and it snapped right to it. So I'm going to hit enter again, and I'm going to extrude that 1/4 inch. Now I need to locate it in the right place. I can do the math in my head and add and subtract fractions and realize that it needs to move to the left 3/4 inch shy of all the way to the edge. But that's a lot of math. Let's do it a little more easily. I'm going to zoom in. I'm going to hover over this corner. I'm going to click on that to move it. I'm going to hold down my shift key. Uh-oh. I've accidentally grabbed my boundary. I really want to make sure that I have that keystone. I'm holding down the shift key, and you see that red dashed line? It's making sure that I only move it as far as 3.5 inches. Move it over to that edge. Now I can use my offset, Control M, to move it to the right 3/4 inch. But I don't want to move it in the Y coordinate at all. And I've got it in just the right place. Now I bet you know that I'm going to use the mirror tool. And then I'm going to select both of those and mirror again, the mirror tool. And now I can choose 2 of these and duplicate them. Hover over that corner so I get my little X smart cursor symbol. I'm going to hold down, I'm going to click on that. I'm going to hold down my shift key. Oops. Let's grab both of those again. Didn't play well with me. I'll hold down my shift key. I'm going to click, hold down my shift key, and then drag those duplicated pieces right up to the middle of my flat. And now, if I've done this right, in right isometric to check my work, I can see that I've got my flat frame, I've got my corner blocks and keystones all in just the right place. One last thing. If I want to lay a sheet of Luan on this, there's another tricky little thing I can do. You remember our boundary that we made, right? We seem to have slipped outside of the boundary when I accidentally grabbed a hold of it earlier. Drag it back where it was. I can extrude that, Control E, in a negative direction away from me, deeper into the drawing. And now I've got sheets of Luan on the face of that that are all part of the structure right there. You see that quarter inch. All right. That's got our frame, that's got our flat. It's now time to add some information to this. So in our next recording, we'll make some sheet layers and we'll deal with viewports in order to annotate this and get it ready for publication. Oops, I just discovered something. Look at all those corner blocks and keystones. They're in the wrong layer. So I'm going to go in here. I'm going to select all of those elements. And where it says that they're in the frame layer, I can edit them. I can now move them to the corner block layer. I'm not in the corner block layer, so everything turns gray. But if I pull down to the corner block layer, those elements that were in the corner block layer are now bold, black. They're at the right line width, and my drawing is just as it should be.